I mean, he brought that love and that we can heal ourselves. It's definitely like all you said. It's so magical. You can't explain it except you feel better.
Nobody. Not mom or dad or a grandmother or a grandfather or a big sister or big brother or teachers or doctors or soldiers or reverends or athletes or lawyers or TV stars or any people who are working or any people who are playing. Not even the president. Not even a king or a queen. Not even people who love each other know what a single thing is. It is a great and wonderful mystery to all of us that anything is or that we are. And whether somebody says, I don't know how anything came to be, or God made everything, they are simply pointing to the feeling of the mystery.
Today is the last day of May in the year 2019, and here we are in Berkeley, California. We're in our second 10-day set of our Level 1 Teachers Training. It's a sunshiny day. Tomorrow is June 1st. And I thought today was quite appropriate to have this podcast and to have you three beautiful souls with us. You were chosen almost intuitively by me, really. And interestingly enough, I found that your different walks in life are very different in many ways, but yet the consciousness is collective. And so I thought, I'm going to ask these three if they'll sit on this brown couch and we can talk about how they came to this path, what it is doing for them, and how they see their tomorrows maybe because of this. So I'll ask each one of you, as I've asked the first question, to give us your name, a little bit about you, your occupation, where you live, and what you do. Let's start with Abe, can we? Thank you, Abe, so much.
Thanks. My name is Abe Fetterman. I'm a father of 2 kids. I'm a startup founder and machine learning engineer, and my background, I have a PhD in astrophysics.
Wow. And you came to take, how did you start? Did you walk into a Kundalini Yoga class one day?
So it's pretty interesting. I was really getting into meditation, and I was looking to get a little bit deeper into meditation, looking for sort of a day-long retreat or event. And
why did you want to even learn to meditate?
I had a lot of stress in my life as a startup founder, and I had a really hard time managing that stress and just being present with my family while I was under stress. It was very, just the stress was really destructive. It was bad for my personal health as well as for my relationships. And
did someone say, why don't you try to meditate?
Yeah, my therapist recommended it. I had a few friends who meditated, but not for very long, just for 10 minutes or so. Except for my friend Pearl, who
was right next to you right now.
Yes, who had started to do all of this meditation and Kundalini, and I didn't know much about it, but I told her that I wanted to do a longer meditation, day of meditation. And she suggested this white tantric yoga session. So my first experience with Kundalini was a 12-hour white tantric yoga, and the universe was kind to me, and we got what I now realize was a very physically easy white tantric set, and just I had the most incredible experience while I was there. It really transformed my life on the spot.
Right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
When you say an incredible experience, what is that for you?
I think it's really hard to describe the kind of experience. One of the effects of the experience, the day after I became vegetarian,
Wow.
completely. That was 2 years ago. Like I ate like this bucket of fried chicken, and then I was like, "This was a bad idea. I'm not going to do this again." And then I did.
And have you kept that bucket away?
Yeah, I have.
Wow. And did your family follow in suit?
My wife has come to a few retreats and a few classes, and I think that she really appreciates how Kundalini has changed my life and made me much easier to be around, much more pleasant, much more patient, much more calm.
And has your business been growing and prospering because of your more calmness?
It absolutely has. I've been able to handle a lot more. I used to have like a deep fear of emails and that sort of thing, and I've overcome that fear, and I'm able to, respond to problems as they rise up, and not get so worked up about what might happen in the future.
Great. Well, let's move on to Pearl now, and we'll come back to you. Okay, thank you, Abe.
Thanks.
Pearl,
Yes.
tell us about you.
Graduated from business school. I knew I wanted to be an investor, but I wanted to work for investors that had a conscience. And so I worked for George Soros first, and he plows all of the proceeds from his funds into the Open Society Institute, which funds universities and printing presses and social change movements all over the world. So I found him really inspiring. Then after I came back to California, I started working for another man, Jerry Dodson, who only invests in socially acceptable industries. So no tobacco, no nuclear, no alcohol, and a whole bunch of other restrictions. And he's managed to do very well, even though our universe is restricted. So it's just proof that you can do well and do good at the same time.
And what inspired you? Were you under stress or just looking for another way? How did you first walk into a Kundalini Yoga class?
I was definitely looking for some answers about health because my father was diagnosed with cancer 10 years ago. And so my priority became, like, my background is in healthcare investing, and I know so much about the industry. And my first thought was, the answers are not with industrial healthcare, not with industrialized healthcare. And so that became the focus of my life. And just by serendipity, I wandered into a Kundalini class with Seva Simran, who's one of our instructors now. And within the first 3 classes, I knew that I would do a training because it reached so deeply into my experience of life, and it changed my energetics. It's very difficult to describe, as Abe said. I don't even know how to describe it.
But you kept going back to classes.
I couldn't stop, actually. My first class I was like, the studio is so dusty. The guy in front of me, his dirty feet are in my face. This guy in the front is wearing a turban. I can't even pronounce his name. I'm never coming back. But I just, at the end of class, huge emotional release. And so I came back for more.
And more.
Yeah.
And more.
Yeah, so much. I followed Seva Simran all over the world, to Perugia, to Mexico, to Shasta, all these places I'd never been before, but my soul was kind of dragging me by my neck.
How many years ago?
That was 2.5 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, good story. Great story. Let's go on to our third princess.
My name is Julie Viscuso, and I just want to thank you so much for allowing me to be on this podcast. This is such a blessing.
It's our honor.
So I am 36. I have been born and raised in California, and I've been on a really rad spiritual journey for a while now. When I was 13, I was diagnosed with lupus, which is an autoimmune deficiency. And I had already had a belief in God and was raised in church. But when that happened and you're kind of faced with mortality at a young age, I started asking a lot of questions very quickly. And I didn't realize that I was already on a path to Kundalini way back then, because I was doing sadhana, my own sadhana, which was just praying and journaling, a lot of journaling, but very much tuning into God. And one of the things that I kept asking was just to go deeper, and I didn't understand what that meant. And so I actually was a Christian missionary for a while and was really doing a lot of soul searching. And then I got to a point where I had learned about Saturn returns, and so I had learned about the word manifesting. And I looked up a video and I found Gabby Bernstein, and she taught me how to do Ego Eradicator. And I didn't know anything about Kundalini, but I started adding that to my daily practice and started to get a small interest of Kundalini that started to like build and build and build and build. And then I had a friend that told me about Leah Garber's class in Berkeley, and I went to it, and it reminded me of, the class gave me the experience of something that I experienced when I was 14, which was a huge, I mean, I was just blasted with the Holy Spirit or God or whatever you want to call it. I had an experience that opened up my heart that I knew was the truth, and I didn't really understand it, but I wanted to keep seeking it. And when I went to this Kundalini class, I just had a huge heart opening, and I knew that it was exactly what I had been looking for. And it's been such a blessing for me. It's really added so much depth to my life, and I really believe that it's helped my body heal in so many ways. And like you guys are saying, it's so hard to put to words to this because there's so much that you want to share with this experience. But I'm in love with Kundalini, and I'm so grateful for everything that it's brought to me. And I think it's so cool because I know I've only just begun to tap the surface of it.
Would you share your condition, your physical condition?
Yeah. So when I was 14, as I mentioned, I'm 36 now, I was diagnosed with lupus, and I was told by the doctors that my body was attacking itself. And that's a really hard thing to hear, because you start living your life thinking that your own body doesn't like you, and can really start to mess with your mind. And it just was a really hard thing for me to swallow. It didn't feel right in my soul. I didn't believe that my body was actually trying to hurt me. So that again is something that added to my spiritual journey of what was the meaning of all of it. And I started a practice of affirmation, so that really helps. And so I've had a lot of conditions with the lupus. It's caused hair loss and rashes and extreme chronic pain. And it's been up and down in flares. I've realized that it's really triggered by stress and challenging situations. The past 2 years, the lupus went really haywire, and it attacked my kidneys. I really thought that it was something that was going to, it wasn't going to be as bad as it was, and it really took me down a really crazy path. Within a few months, my body started to swell up from my kidneys not working, and I started to put on about 70 pounds of water weight within a couple months, and was put in the hospital and really left alone with my thoughts. And I'm so grateful that I had already had a daily spiritual practice of affirmations and really encouraging myself and really showing myself compassion. And so I would be in the hospital and I would just have kirtan music on and, just try to... I had already had a Kundalini. I'd already been going to Kundalini before I had been hospitalized. And so I had really built up a solid foundation in that. So when I was in really critical condition, I really tapped into what I had already established with Kundalini. And it gave me so much hope because I have experienced what Kundalini can do to your body and to your soul and to your energy and to your life.
So now you have to go home in a short time because you have to be 8.5 hours connected to your home dialysis, right?
Yeah, so basically what happened after we tried to help my kidneys without going on dialysis, that was the situation that I needed to have. So yeah, now I have some tubes in my stomach, and every night I go home. I do dialysis for 8.5 hours. And so yeah, I've had to really learn how to balance this teacher training with that.
And your life.
And my life, yes.
But have you found when you first came back to these 10 days, you said that your, I don't know if the word is toxicity, but something has improved.
Yes, so last year when I was first put on dialysis, my kidney function was at 9%. And then when I lost the water weight and I was able to start to rebuild, I started really plugging into Kundalini. And I've gotten very involved in my class. And then when I found out that this teacher with training was happening, I knew that I needed to be a part of it. And I've been very committed to this. And now my kidney function has gone up from 9% to 19%.
Wow.
Which is not common at all. And the whole time I was in the hospital, I kept telling everybody I was going to have this miraculous healing and that my body I wasn't going to need to do dialysis or any of that. But now I'm seeing that it's a part of the path that I'm on, and that I needed to experience all of those things, and that it helped me to really... you really get to know yourself when you're in a health condition like that, because you realize that everybody wants to help you, but it is you yourself. Like, you have to really be the healer and the strength. And I am blown away by the fact that my kidney function has gone up so much. And when I had gotten the reports the last time, I went to go get some labs right after, and they said, "How are your kidneys doing?" And I said, "It went up." And they all turned and said, "We never hear that. That's not the case." Yeah. Wow. So after I had done the training with you guys the first 10 days, I posted a photo of a picture of you and me, actually, and I was glowing from 10 days of Kundalini. And I put another picture of what I had looked like just a couple months before. Over 200 pounds of, 70 pounds of water weight. Wow. And it's pretty miraculous.
Thank you. Let's go back to Abe. Okay, we left you with the bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken out the door. Then what brought you to sign up for this teacher's training?
I was so blown away by the power that I felt when I did the Kundalini Kriyas. I knew that this was really just something special and unlike anything I'd ever done before. So I kept going to class and I wanted to learn more. I did a lot of the kriyas that they have online. I was practicing at home, but I wanted to learn sort of a more structured way to practice on my own and to share like these amazing technologies with other people, my friends.
So, being a scientist where everything's pretty analytical, 2 and 2 is 4, did you have to step out of that mindset into this other one that you can't explain anything, it doesn't make sense? And did you like that space you stepped into?
Yeah, it's definitely a big adjustment, and a lot of my friends have a hard time understanding like even the most simple language around what we're doing here. But when you're really in pain, or if you're really stressed, or you really need change in your life, you should be open to new experiences. And I was open to the experience, and it was incredible. And I still can't describe what's going on, but I know that the kriyas work, the technology works.
Yeah, that's great. So from all of this, when you heard about the teacher's training, was it like, I'm going to do it?
Yeah, I was really excited to take a class with you, Gurmukh. I've heard a lot about the training you've put on, the work you've done with prenatal yoga, and just it seemed like a once in a lifetime opportunity to learn from an incredible master.
Pearl, yes. For signing up for this. I know you sign up for a lot of things, but this was like a no-brainer for you? Or?
It was absolutely a no-brainer. There was no question I was going to do teacher training. It was just a matter of when. And I felt that my body had to be strong enough, and I had to be confident enough to undergo the changes. I think there's a certain amount of vulnerability you have to bring. You have to be willing to kind of destroy some things and integrate some new things.
Give me an example of destroying what?
Destroying grief, destroying fear, destroying pain. We have attachments to so much negativity because it's what we know. And I come from 2 generations of people who left political environments that were oppressive. And so there's a lot of trauma there, and destroying trauma that you've inherited from your ancestors. It's hard to be human. It's very hard to be human, and it's so brave to wake up and be human every day, I think. And to become a happier human takes so much effort and work. It's very easy to slide back into what you know, even if it's miserable.
Yeah, you're so right. And for you, my darling, teacher's training?
Well, before I started Kundalini and dealing with all this health stuff, I felt deep within me that there was a reason for it, and that I was going to use it in some way to help serve other people. I didn't know how. So when I found Kundalini and I fell in love with it, and I watched how much it impacted my life, it was actually during the time that Leah was pregnant with Pema. So she would teach these classes and she couldn't show some of the moves. So I would volunteer to go sit next to her. And she kept saying, "You're going to be a teacher. You're going to be a teacher." And I kept thinking, like, I really like how that sounds. That's really cool. We'll see about that. And then, all this health stuff happened, and I had, all of my vitality taken, all my strength. I was literally in a hospital bed and just not really sure what was going to happen, but really kept the faith that, like, there was a reason for this. There's some reason this is happening. Mm-hmm. And I just need to keep encouraging myself and showing as much compassion, because what I'm going through is really hard, And I think a lot of people, again, with that whole mentality of your body attacking yourself, we attack ourselves a lot. So I was encouraging myself that there was a reason for it. There was going to be something that came out of it. And then when I got out of the hospital and I started regaining my strength back and the teacher training came, I knew it was time. I was like, this is it. This is the moment I've been waiting for. I've just gotten this totally brand new opportunity with my life, and I'm not going to waste any more time. Every Kriya, as hard as it was like such a blessing, because I was able to move my body, and I was, like using this incredible tool that is here to help us to, to serve the world and accomplish all these amazing goals.
And how could this beautiful body ever want to attack you? Western medicine attack you?
Yeah, actually, in Sadhna the other morning, you were having us do some spinal twists, and Seva had just been talking about how that really massages the kidneys.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how, some of the poses, they feel like they're really hard, but I just had this moment of like, this is the most loving thing I could do for my body. I'm showing my body so much love with all of these meditations and breath work and kriyas and everything. And I just felt so overwhelmed with gratitude, because I'm like, it's happening. Like, my mind is switching from that, what was taught to me at such a young age. Now I'm learning to like really love myself. And I really think that's why my kidney function is increasing, because my body feels safe with me now,
And because kidneys holds all that fear.
Yeah.
You're going to write a book.
I can't wait to I just really want to encourage other people that are going through this, because the whole time I was laying in the hospital, there was nothing for me to look to of anybody coming out of it and getting their life back and feeling vibrant again. I just had a birthday and somebody wrote me a card and it said, last year was a real crap year. This year is going to be really much better. And I turned to her and I said, honestly, I think last year was probably one of the best years of my entire life, because it's the whole experience, lupus. You think, oh, it's such a bad thing, or these diseases, they're so horrible. But it's been one of my greatest teachers ever.
Yeah, beautiful.
On that note about learning how to love your kidneys, I feel that it's important to say Kundalini is the only technology or technique or exercise, whatever you want to call it, that teaches you how to love certain parts of your body. Mm-hmm. There's no other exercise out there that tells you what to do to love your liver, how to let your liver release anger, and there's no other exercise that is for the glandular system. I have a hard time, sometimes recommending kriyas to people, because I have to couch it in words that they can understand. Like, oh, this exercise is for your overall health. It's the guardian for your health. Because they won't be able to believe that you can target and identify your thyroid or your thymus or your any other gland and exercise it.
Yeah, exercise and love it. And what he came out with, and he would make us say out loud over, I am bountiful, I am beautiful, I am bliss, I am. I mean, he brought that love, and that we can heal ourselves. It's definitely, like all you said, it's so magical. You can't explain it except you feel better. Abe, I'd like to go back to you with maybe a last question. Have you taken what you've learned and experienced in this last and the beginning and been able to integrate it in your family life, with as a father to two beautiful young children, to just the world, to your work? I mean, could you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I've actually been able to teach yoga a few times at work, yoga and meditation. And I think one of the really special things about Kundalini Yoga is the ability to exercise your mind and your body at the same time. And a lot of people are interested in like doing meditation and exercising their mind, and then they're going to the gym to do a workout for an hour, and it's like, why are you like these two things are connected together? You need to work them out together, and the results are just that much better when you can combine your body, your mind, and your spirit, and just have them all aligned. And I do these exercises with my son. We'll sit down and do
How old
kirtan
is your
kriya.
son?
He's 5, so he has a hard time sitting still, but he really enjoys the whispering part.
Oh, that's great. Like Kirtan Kriya?
Yeah, of kirtan
Oh,
kriya.
that's beautiful. Thank you. What about you, Pearl? Have you been able to take it out beyond just your own sadhana?
I've started teaching my friends, and there's definitely a learning curve to teaching yoga. Just translating it into something that beginners can relate to and look forward to, and introducing some of the more exotic things really gradually. I think the singing is something that takes people by surprise. The mantras are also sometimes a new thing for people. I mean, pumping the navel, I could go on and on. There are a lot of things that your typical gym bunny, your CrossFit person, or your Barry's Boot Camp person will find it takes them some time to get used to.
Yeah.
So it's a learning curve. It's really interesting though to experience how people feel it right away. My friend, after her first class, she told me she went home. She went to visit her mother, and her mother actually talked to her. And her mother usually says like, "You're such a bitch," and they don't talk, or they don't have conversations. And after a class with me, she had a conversation with her mother.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, that's magic. You can't figure out anything. It's like when I played Feel the Mystery. You just can't know. Or that boy that we watched sing. You think you know everything and you don't know really too much.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
How do I integrate Kundalini?
Yeah, have you been?
Well, I mean, especially with all the health stuff nowadays, I go real deep with people right away. So I have come out of this Kundalini class and have been just like shouting it from the rooftops. Like I said, I had written that post about my experience with doing Kundalini and how I really feel like it's been healing my body. And I had such a blessing happen. Some people had heard my story and they came on their spring break and spent a few days filming my journey into a documentary to encourage people that are living with autoimmune issues or any health issues. But I got to film a Kundalini class, and even without me telling him I wanted it to be a lot about Kundalini, I mean, it's very much a documentary about Kundalini and my healing journey. And it's really cool because I really want to share it with as many people as I possibly can, because as I mentioned, there wasn't anything for me to look to. So I'm super excited that I'm going to be able to encourage people that have gone through these health issues and introduce them to Kundalini, because to me it's
Beautiful.
so connected.
I want to ask one more question. Sadhana. What do you think about it, babe?
I love sadhana. I find it really hard to get enough sleep sometimes and to do sadhana, but when I haven't done it, I've really missed it. And it doesn't need to be 2.5 hours. I think half an hour to an hour is a really good amount of time for me, and I'm learning how to do it with a family. I think it's really cool to have so many examples in the community to learn from.
And when you say your family, your two little ones, do they ever come in while you're doing it, or do you have to do it real quiet in another room? How do you work it in a family situation?
Yeah, so my daughter will wake up sort of unpredictably between like 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. So if she's sleeping until 7, there's lots of great time for sadhana. But if she's up at 5, it's a bit of a challenge how to get the sadhana done. But one example that I know Ryan does in our group is he just does sadhana even though there's a child in front of him playing or distracting him, and I think that's amazing and something I want to practice more. I think it was harder. It depends on what you choose to do for your sadhana, and I think the Sudarshan Chakra Kriya is going to be a good one.
So if she comes in, she's just part of it. Just put your head on Papa's knee or play if she wants to play. And maybe your son will be attracted too. And it's a wonderful experience if they all just come on in.
Yeah. So I think it's a really great family thing.
Oh, great. Very good. Okay. Pearl.
Yeah, sadhana it's indispensable for me. When I skip a morning practice, all of my little demons just climb their way back into my life. Negative thoughts and negative bad habits, it's old patterns, and so it's really important. And, because it was my father's illness that started me on this journey, it's kind of come full circle. Before he passed, he had this intuitive morning sadhana. He was Buddhist, but he would wake up and do 20 or 30 minutes of stretching, and it was the first thing that I woke up, that I would hear when I woke up as a child, and it was kind of like my alarm clock. And because I started doing Kundalini because of him, I now have my own morning practice, and I feel that he's very present in the way I came to this.
Wow. It is so true. It's not just a lofty maybe, it is. Yeah, that's great. Sadhana, my love.
I love sadhana. I got real hooked after the first teacher training and have made it a daily practice. It's been really interesting. I've had to adjust my dialysis machine and the timing of it because it's not very comfortable to do breath of fire with your belly full of this dialysis solution. So, but I'm so in love with it that it's made it really easy to just kind of shift my life around it. It's been really cool this teacher training to listen to you, Guru Shabad, talk about just, the reminder that this is a lifelong journey, and that I was realizing that. So I was starting, I was getting up for my sadhana, and one of the things that I really check in with myself every day is, how are you feeling? What do you need? Really tuning in to myself. And so some mornings I would realize that I was more tired, and so I would just do more breath work and mantras, and I wouldn't do a kriya or anything. So I really learned to adjust the sadhana to what I was physically capable of doing that day. And it's just the daily practice has been incredible. Some days it isn't this like, wow, that was amazing, and my mind is totally blown and my heart is so open, but I realized that it's, I showed up, I got up. Amin Bir had said that even if you roll out of bed and get on your mat, it's victory. And I have thought about that so much. I just get on the mat, and then honestly, as soon as I start doing some breath work, you start to wake up. And now when I look at it, it's not just like these single days. It's like this huge picture. I see this bigger picture of showing up every day, even when it wasn't this magical, epic experience, because it has helped me expand so much more than I could have ever dreamt of.
You don't judge the day. Like I said in class, yesterday morning my sadhana was so amazing. This one, it was so hard and I couldn't pay so attention. I didn't think I got anything out of it because I wanted a day just like the day before. Every day is different.
Mm-hmm.
But to not judge it, because they're all strung together in a lifetime, and then roll your mat up, get up, and go out.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe you'll be granted a better one the next day, but that's not up to you. And also, when it's a hard sadhana, you're probably clearing more than you can even imagine. So before we close, I'd like to go around and just say, is there anything that you'd like to talk about that's been, like, I'd like to say this, I'd like to say this. Abe?
Kundalini has transformed my life in so many ways, and just the meditations alone, like any one piece of it would be worth it. Like just the exercise part would be worth it. Like it's the only exercise I've really enjoyed doing. Just the meditation part would be worth it. Like it's the only meditation that I've like finished and I've been like, wow, that was like a great time. And it's just putting all of these things together is just, it's healthy even if you don't get the like added like special benefits, and no one I know has not gotten the added like magical unexplainable benefits here and there.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Abe, so much.
It's an incredible statement to be able to say that I'm in the best health of my life. And there was a phase where for maybe a week or two, where I thought, I wish my parents had sent me to Miri Piri, or I wish that this was taught in elementary schools. We would just be so much healthier. We would be so much healthier. People are walking around broken and don't even know it, or on the verge of disaster and don't even know it. We don't even have the awareness of how ill most Americans are.
Because they just think it's normal.
Yeah.
The rate of normal has really gone. It's in the basement right now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And when we see it, I know for myself, all I want to do is help them to come out of the basement, at least to the first floor, and just try to breathe. And I think that's the inspiration also for Kundalini Yoga. Look at all what you said, all those people. What can I do to help them like I've been helped?
Mm-hmm.
So good. Thank you, Pearl.
I think that everything is an opportunity to choose loving thoughts or fearful thoughts, and I think that the world is really trained to choose fearful thoughts. I think that Kundalini has really helped me to shift those thoughts and to really go in a deeper place of loving myself and understanding my connection to God and to the oneness of all things. I think Kundalini has been the thing that I was praying for when I didn't even really know that I was praying for it, because I had already been journaling and praying, but I needed this technology, I needed these sets, and I needed the way to be able to develop a deeper connection with my body that I haven't been able to find through anything else.
Wow. I want to thank you all for staying after we had a long day. Today was our day of silence, so you got to talk a lot now. You've all said so much collectively, and I just pray that the listeners can be inspired, and if they're not doing Kundalini Yoga, to step into a class, because we have them probably in every country in the world now. So many different languages, and they can just go on a website that gives them all the places to show up, and nowadays there's so many videos, and that you three will be out there, plus thousands more saying, come on, it helped me, maybe. And you know it will, but say maybe it will help you. So God bless you all. And I thank you so, so much for taking this time with us. God bless you.
Thank you so much.